Hello, this is Max. A dying CIA agent, seeking to reconcile with his estranged daughter, is given a chance at life through an experimental drug, but it comes with a final mission. Don't forget to subscribe. The film begins at CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia, where the CIA director and another person meet with Agent Vivi DeLay. They discuss their target, Wolfgang Braun, alias the Wolf, and his partner, the albino, who are attempting to sell weapons to terrorists. Vivi is tasked with taking them down and asks who will work with her on this mission. She learns that Ethan Renner will be her partner. The story then shifts to a Parisian hotel, where Ethan and Yasmin are preparing to assassinate the albino, a Serbian mobster. Ethan has already taken out the buyers, and he and the albino exchange briefcases with secret passwords in a swift and coordinated manner. Ethan rushes to a payphone to call his daughter Zoe on her birthday but struggles to find change. In frustration, he gives his watch to use the payphone, but Zoe doesn't answer. Back at the hotel, Yasmin's identity is compromised when the albino recognizes her. They head to an elevator and a tense standoff ensues. This situation escalates into a shootout from the lobby to outside the hotel. Ethan pursues the albino but becomes fatigued and collapses. Before losing consciousness, he shoots the albino in the foot. Ethan awakens in the hospital, where a doctor informs him that he has cancer that has spread to his lungs, giving him a limited time to live. He has roughly 3 to 5 months left. Upon returning home, Ethan discovers that his apartment is now occupied by a refugee family led by Jules. Despite his initial anger, Ethan allows the family to stay temporarily. He contacts his ex-wife, Tina, and they meet to discuss his condition. She agrees to let him meet Zoe under the condition that he is no longer working for the CIA. Ethan and Tina visit Zoe's school, but their reunion is strained, and Zoe appears disinterested in connecting with her father. Zoe is also introduced to Hugh, a teenager who seems interested in her. The interaction is awkward, and Zoe leaves with her friends, leaving Ethan behind. While riding his bike, Ethan encounters Vivi, who shows him the watch he left behind at the hotel. She convinces him to work for her, claiming to have an experimental medicine that can save his life. She informs him that his mission is to find and kill the wolf. Vivi and Ethan track down a lead to a hotel where they are looking for a man who can lead them to the albino's accountant. When they encounter resistance, they end up killing everyone in the room. Ethan agrees to complete the mission with the condition of receiving $50,000 and a $1 million life insurance policy. Vivi administers the experimental medicine to him. Meanwhile, the film cuts to the albino handing a photograph to a man, hinting at some dangerous dealings. Ethan returns to his apartment and hears Zoe scream, thinking she's in danger. He rushes in, only to find that Zoe is upset about a bad haircut. Tina is also angry at Ethan for being late to cut dinner. She has a business trip to London, adding to the tension in their already strained relationship. The next day, Tina chooses to hire a sitter to look after Zoe, but Ethan insists on taking care of her himself. However, as the day progresses, Ethan starts to feel dizzy and faint. He contacts Vivi and informs her that he is experiencing hallucinations. Vivi advises him to sip vodka to relax, and he follows her suggestion. Tina departs for her business trip, leaving Ethan to take care of Zoe while dealing with his health issues and the mission at hand. On the following day, Zoe enters the room wearing an unattractive red wig. When she notices Vivi dialing Ethan's phone, he says it's his employer. Zoe sets it on pops "I don't care" as Ethan's ringtone for whatever she calls. Ethan tries to convince Zoe to ride her bike to school again, but she chooses to walk and leaves the wig behind. Later, Ethan encounters Vivi again, who gives him the promised check and advises him to maintain a low heart rate. She also directs Ethan to visit a car dealer named Midat Yilmaz. Ethan goes to the dealership, taunts and subdues the staff there, and then waits at his dad's office until his dad returns. Ethan threatens Midat's family and takes him back to his apartment. Soon after, he receives a phone call from Zoe's school, urging him to meet with the principal. Ethan forcibly takes Midat along and locks him in the trunk of a car. At the school, Ethan and Zoe meet with the principal, who reveals that Zoe had physically confronted another classmate, either with an open palm or clenched fist. When they leave the principal's office, Zoe explains to Ethan that she had slapped a girl because she was making fun of a Pakistani girl. Ethan reassures Zoe that he's not angry and views her actions as a way to stand up to a bully. However, Mitat starts causing a commotion in the trunk, prompting Ethan to punch him and urge him to be quiet. Doi becomes irritated by Mitat's behavior and his continuous noise. Subsequently, Zoe calls him back to apologize and invites him to meet her at her favorite location, a small theme park with her favorite ride, the flying chairs. Despite Ethan's initial intention to continue his quest for the accountant, he decides to meet with Zoe, choosing to prioritize being a responsible guardian over being an assassin. They enjoy a ride on a flying chairs and share hot chocolate. Doi informs Ethan that she needs to study with her lab colleague, so when Ethan enters a store, he is unexpectedly ambushed by a man carrying a shotgun. The man fires, but Ethan miraculously recovers unharmed. They engage in a fierce battle, during which the man almost kills Ethan by stabbing him in the neck. However, the man is shot and killed, and Ethan discovers a photo in the man's possession. Returning home, Ethan finds a note from a friend on Zoe's computer, suggesting they meet at the tattoo gallery. Concerned, Ethan goes to the tattoo gallery and finds Zoe's bag in a car. He examines a brochure for a business called Spider. Ethan then visits Mitat's house and asks the man's twin daughters about Spider. They inform him that it's a nightclub. Ethan goes to the nightclub called Spider and notices Zoe drinking with her friends. Feeling dizzy again, he takes a sip of vodka to calm down. When he follows Zoe into the restroom, he sees 3 men bothering her. Despite being initially restrained by one of the men's friends, Ethan unleashes his protective instincts and defeats all of them, rescuing Zoe from the situation. Doi regains consciousness. The next morning, Zoe wakes up with no recollection of the previous night. She's still wearing her dress and is ready to go to school, but Ethan advises her not to. He insists that she ride her bike to school, which infuriates her because he never taught her how to ride. Doi's anger stems from her frustration at not knowing how to ride a bike. Ethan spends the morning teaching Zoe how to ride, and she eventually tearfully asks him why he's been gone for so long. She suspects he might have another family with another daughter, but he reassures her that this is not the case. Doi admits to hitting a girl at school because a girl was hitting on Hugh. While hanging out together, they run into Hugh, who is on his way to take Zoe to school. During their journey, Ethan spots the accountant Wido. Ethan throws a tear gas canister at Wido's car, kidnaps him, and then blows up the van. He brings Wido to his flat to replace the briefcase containing codes with codes meant to ignite explosives in the possession of the wolf and the albino. Doi calls Ethan to inform him that she will be cooking dinner for Hugh and wants to prepare a vegetarian dish. Ethan calls Wido to give Zoe a spaghetti sauce recipe his mother used. This serves as a way to get a credible recipe for the evening. Later, Ethan returns home and discovers Jules's daughter is in labor. She gives birth to a healthy baby girl and names her Ethan in his honor, allowing them to stay in his house. Jules initially plans to leave, but Ethan insists they can stay as long as they want. Jules mentions that the family prefers a smaller house to be closer to each other. Ethan goes back to Zoe's house and learns that Hugh has invited her to prom, but she declines because she cannot dance. Ethan resolves to help her, and just as Tina returns home, she is moved to tears watching them dance. They have endured hardships together as a family, and Tina later reminds Ethan that he should tell Zoe about his illness sooner or later. Eventually, they spend the night together, rekindling their old love. The next morning, Vivi calls Ethan to inform him that the albino is staying at the Grand Hotel. Ethan arrives at the scene and spots the wolf. He pursues them, ramming into their car and pushing them over a footbridge. Ethan manages to save Mitat, allowing him to return to his family. As the wolf and the albino try to escape, Ethan follows them into the underground. However, he experiences a nosebleed and becomes disoriented. The albino takes advantage of Ethan's weakened state, attempting to push him onto the train tracks. Just as the albino is about to kill Ethan, he regains enough strength to push the albino in front of an oncoming train. Ethan collapses, but the wolf manages to escape. Ethan wakes up to find Vivi has brought him to her home. She informs him about the wolf's escape but tells him that his therapy with the medicine was successful. Ethan's family is supposed to meet him, Zoe and Tina. His father introduces Ethan to the wolf, his business partner, and they recognize each other, awkwardly shaking hands. Hugh's parents accompany them all to the club. Tina starts to suspect that Ethan has been lying to her about his activities, but he reassures her that he hasn't. Ethan leaves the gathering, and as the wolf's troops open fire on him, he dispatches the thugs before trapping the wolf in an elevator. He shoots the elevator's cables, causing it to plummet and crash to the ground. Meanwhile, in a secret room, Ethan and Zoe dance and share their first kiss, as teenagers often do. However, Ethan suddenly discovers the wolf crawling out of the elevator. He starts to feel weak once more and struggles to raise his gun to shoot the wolf. In a tense moment, he drops the pistol, which the wolf grabs. Just as it seems dire, Vivi enters and pushes the pistol to Ethan, urging him to do what needs to be done. However, Ethan hesitates, thinking of Tina and Zoe. Vivi seizes the pistol and shoots the wolf, putting an end to the threat. Everyone is relieved, and Ethan is still living with Zoe in a home near the ocean months later. He's seen putting up a Christmas tree and enjoying a loving relationship with Tina. When Tina arrives, Ethan admits that he hasn't always been there for her and Zoe as he should have been. Zoe approaches Tina, asking her mother to join them so that Ethan can make them hot chocolate. Tina and Zoe sit together as Ethan heads into another room. Zoe asks her mother if Ethan is going to stay now. Meanwhile, Ethan discovers a box with a large syringe and a Christmas greeting from Vivi. She had provided him with a medicine so that he could continue to spend time with his family. In the distance, Vivi watches the family in their house, content with the outcome. If you are interested in such films, please proceed to the next video on the screen and also share your thoughts about this film in the comments. Give us a like and subscribe. Goodbye.